So, guys, until we get another Green Lantern movie, we'll always have the one with Ryan Reynolds, right? Hey, everybody, this is David, and today I'm going to be talking about Green Lantern, the 2011 film starring Ryan Reynolds. And yeah, I decided to talk about this movie because we have no other Green Lantern movie to talk about, and I thought, to myself, I don't think I've reviewed a lot of bad films, and I thought to myself, why not, review this one and see if there was anything good about it, and what are the bad things about it that I didn't like. Everyone has their own opinions, so everyone's gonna have something different to hate about it and different things to like about it. And I know a couple of people that actually do defend this movie quite a lot more than I do. So it's interesting to me sometimes hearing what other people's thoughts are on the movie. And as usual, I like to be fair with films. I don't like to say it's complete trash unless it actually is. And this movie, I'm gonna admit, has some aspects to it that are decent. And let's just get into it right now. So, for those of you that don't know the Green Lantern is Hal Jordan, who finds a dying alien who gives him a ring, and he becomes the Green Lantern and fights, to save the universe. I guess they're kind of like the Green Lantern Corps is kind of like Jedi Knights. They're guardians of peace of the universe, and try to restore balance to everything that's good and fine and dandy. First of all, I want to get into the cast. I think the cast of this film is all right. I think the highlights for sure are Ryan Reynolds. I think, a lot of people get confused when they say, yeah, this is a bad movie, so everything about the movie is bad. I think people tend to mix the actors in there when it's really not their fault. And I think Reynolds, for the most part, did a pretty good job with what he had to do. It wasn't his fault the movie was crap. It was just unfortunately he was in a bad movie, and it happens sometimes with even some of the best actors in Hollywood. I also want to give props to Mark Strong, who a lot of people might remember from movies like Sherlock. He was in the first Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr. He was in the recent Kingsman, the Secret Service film this year. He was also in Kick-Ass, the first Kick-Ass film. He's usually known for playing bad guys, and obviously this movie he's playing a character that's being set up to be a bad guy eventually. And that's maybe one of the missed opportunities this movie should have had. They didn't even set him up right to be a villain. They had a little tease at the end, and it was just all wasted potential, all wasted crap. You do not throw away this villain just to. I mean, if you're gonna use him and set him up, set him up. And the way they kind of gave hints that he was going somewhere, but then it doesn't go anywhere at all, and the character just. Again, I don't blame Mark Strong. I think he did a great job with what he had, but unfortunately, the writing and the directing just wasn't there. It wasn't there for these actors to give it what they needed. So, I don't really blame the actors. Once again, I blame more the writing and the directing. The writing is all over the place in this movie. Sometimes it feels like this movie wants to be something more. Sometimes it turns into an average, below average superhero film. So we also get this stupid love plot. Every superhero movie needs that main love interest. But the problem with this is, to me, these two have no chemistry whatsoever. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, they're both in a relationship together in real life, and that's cool. They might have the best relationship in the world for all I know. But in this movie, I did not feel their characters connect at all, and it was an awful relationship. What can I say, guys? That's how I feel, and I'm sure that's how a lot of people feel it. As a matter of fact, a lot of the moments when they're together alone is some of the most boring, stupid crap that I've ever witnessed from a superhero movie. Actually, okay, I'll take that back. There is one scene that's actually pretty funny when he comes and she figures out his identity even though he has the mask on and everything. And I'm like, thank God, man, because that joke had to be done. It's like, how come people haven't figured out Clark Kent as Superman yet? That mask wouldn't hold, the mask that Ryan Reynolds has in this movie wouldn't hold anybody's identity. It's like a mask you would buy at Party City. If I wore that mask, everyone would know I'm the Green Lantern. It's pretty obvious, especially if people know who you are. And so I'm glad they kind of made that joke. I'll give the movie a little bit of points on that. That's probably the only joke in the movie I actually laughed at, too. The villains in this movie are horrible. One is like a giant shit cloud that looks like a cartoon character from... It looked like it should have been something from a Saturday morning cartoon. If you hated the way they portrayed Galactus in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, this is just as bad. It's just a giant shit cloud that comes to Earth and takes its time getting to Earth, by the way. And yeah, comes and destroys. That's the plot of that villain. And then there's this other villain named Hector Hammond, who's hardly even developed well. He's your typical bad guy who I guess gets infected and wants revenge on his father or something, and he just screams and looks like a giant testicle head throughout the entire film. He's a horrible character. These are horrible villains. These are the villains you're gonna start with in your first movie. Remember, the hero is just as good as his villains, or the villain is just as good as the hero. I don't know, one way or the other. Horrible villains, horrible love interests, horrible everything, guys. This is a bad movie. I did like the idea of the costume being CGI, because the way the director put it was that the costume was supposed to feel alienish, and I like that idea. Unfortunately, not a lot of other people agreed with me on that part, and that's fine. I get it. I think people were just more angry at the movie itself, but I think the costume thing was alright. I actually grew on it when that idea came out to make it feel more alienish, and it if you think about it, it does feel unusual. And whether you think it's fake or not, I think the special effects were actually pretty darn good for this movie. But I think it was just the rest of the movie that was really bad. I mean, you can see that a lot of money was put on this film. When the CGI is there, you can tell it's done pretty good. Unfortunately, like I said, the rest of the movie is really... And I think when you see how bad the rest of the movie is, you include the CGI into that. But as someone who looks at the CGI in this movie, it does look a little cartoony at times. But there are times... I like the costume aspect of it. That's I'll give points to the costume. I know a lot of people will disagree with me on that, but that's fine. So guys, I am going to give this movie a 4 out of 10. I think there are some aspects, if you're a Green Lantern fan, they kind of keep true to the story, I guess. There are some moments in the movie that I wish they would have focused on more, like more of the stuff on Oa, where he's training with Kilowog and Sinestro. And I forgot the character who Jeffrey Rush does the voice of. That bird-like Green Lantern. But yeah, I hope they would have explored more with the Green Lantern Corps, and unfortunately, they didn't. But that's the good thing about having a reboot, which, now that Man of Steel is starting this all-new DC universe, we have a second chance at bringing Green Lantern to life, and hopefully much better than what it is here. And there are already rumors that Chris Pine is going to be playing Hal Jordan, and Tyrese Gibson is going to be playing John Stewart, so that's going to be cool, especially since the movie is now called Green Lantern Corps, which means we're going to see more of the Green Lantern, the whole Green Lanterns, what this movie should have given us, but it didn't, because from what I was explained to by people that know the Green Lantern comics, is that Green Lantern should have been DC's answers to Star Wars, because the Green Lanterns and the Jedi Knights have a lot in common, and we could see that. We could see something like that. That should have been what this movie should have been, and it wasn't. It was a missed opportunity. And with that being said, guys, this was supposed to be DC's Iron Man. And you can tell they were trying to get a little bit of that Iron Man flavor in this movie, but unfortunately, maybe that's what the problem was. They were trying to copy Marvel with this one. They weren't trying to find their own identity, and maybe that was the problem. So for those of you that think that DC should be lighter and brighter and like Marvel, no, maybe they shouldn't, because clearly they tried with this one and they failed. Maybe the darker toned movies is better suited for them, because they've already proven with the Dark Knight trilogy and with Men of Steel that they can handle it. So with that being said, guys, I don't know, if you want to go check out this movie because you're curious at who Green Lantern is, I think there's another Green Lantern movie that's a lot more better to check out. It's called Green Lantern First Flight. It's an animated direct-to-video Green Lantern movie, and I think it's actually a lot more better than this film. This film is kind of an embarrassment for Green Lantern fans, and I can see why. Because as someone who is a fan of the character because of the animated stuff, even I was heavily disappointed. So until next time, guys, it's your choice if you want to check this out. I mean, it's the only live-action Green Lantern we have at the moment. That's probably the only upside to it, if you really do want to see a live-action Green Lantern, and how the reboot hopefully will hopefully look better than this. But you get the idea. Go check it out if you want. But I recommend the animated stuff instead. So until next time, take care.